So, how have you been?
I've been great.
That's good. That's good.
Very busy.
Yeah,
Yep, really good. Just enjoying life and working and the usual crazy things everyone has to do.
I'm sure that anyone tuning in here will feel the same way I am, which is it's just weird to hear you without the Obrecht accent or any
Oh,
accent for that matter.
the Obrecht accent. Yeah, I've been doing different accents on different projects. I'm
Mhm.
like, wait a minute, this is I
That's right. Well, you've done
don't
a
even know
lot.
if I remember that accent anymore.
Oh, I'm sure.
Liesl
So,
Obrecht. Yes, this is Liesl. Hello, I'm Liesl Obrecht. Whatever.
you don't want to bring her out. She's kind of scary.
She is scary. She was scary. I mean, I was scared of her. I'd get a script and I go, "Oh, this is mean. This is funny. Okay, this is cruel. Oh, I get to sing. Oh, I get to dance. Okay, great. Oh, I get to kill. Oh, try to kill someone. That's not nice. Or so it was always fun. I never knew. It was like Christmas. I always said every time I opened a script, it was like, oh, what is it today?
Right?
Because the writers kept me on my toes, which I absolutely loved. I
Yeah.
always appreciated that they wrote such a diverse range and thing, of the character, which was as an actor, you want that, you need that, you want to do variety. It's not good to have one character and you're always doing the same thing. At least for me,
Yeah.
I need the variety. I need the stimulation. I need to be really funny, be really sad, feel a lot of depth and pain, and make the audience feel that, and then make them laugh, and that's all. That whole range is just, to me, it's really exciting.
Yeah,
So
the
I've
best written characters on soaps get to do those things, especially the villain.
Yeah,
These villains. Who's a villain
Pearl.
on General Hospital? I don't know. I mean,
Who isn't? Come on.
that's
It's
exactly
like,
right.
you don't get to see anybody sweet and nice. It's like, no, everyone's pretty much a villain.
Well, and even if you do see, it's like almost everybody on the show has killed someone. Even people who go, "Oh, she's a good person." Oh, she pushed that guy out a window. Okay,
I never killed anyone.
right, that we know of.
I don't think so. I certainly attempted. There was a little stabbing somewhere, but and then throwing like
Torture,
Brad off the parapet, and
right?
and let's see, trying to poison Anna, but poison Duke instead. Is that all there is? Oh, that was so funny. Singing, is that all there is? In a karaoke bar, trying to poison Anna, poison Duke by mistake. That was one of the funniest things, in a blonde wig and pink glasses. The writers, I love the writers. I just will always be grateful for the variety that they gave me and the fun. It was so much fun. It's
So
really great.
you were last on GH in 2023, right?
Yes.
And I saw some rumors online that Dr. Obrecht and Scotty might be returning to the
I
show.
see the rumors too. I'm like,
You don't
really?
know anything about it?
Wow.
Can you comment on that?
The only comment I can say is I have no idea. I never heard anything,
They
haven't
haven't
got
heard
a
anything from
call.
them.
So I don't know. I'm just busy with my life and other jobs and
Yeah. I
projects
couldn't,
and
I call it a rumor. It said spoilers seem to suggest, but then they didn't link to the spoilers and I couldn't find them. So somebody just made it up, I think. They just
you
want you guys
know
back.
they do that. People start a rumor, somebody picks up on it, and it's like I read things. It's like, oh, really? Did I do that? Oh, am I going to do that? Great. I'm the last to know. So anyway, yeah, I
Right.
think it's just somebody started it because I think there's some storyline that's going on in Germany in a hospital, and everyone's like, Germany, Obrecht.
All
Ugh.
right.
So, but
Yeah,
coming from me, I know nothing about it.
and I guess we haven't seen the character Scotty for a while, so I think they were hoping they would bring you both back at the same time because it's such a fun couple, and it made no sense when she broke up with him. I mean, a little bit, but not like all this time. It's like,
He did something very hurtful and he chose Elizabeth over her. And you know how in real life, I
right.
mean, not that we can compare a soap opera to real life. Let's not do that, shall we? But when as an actor, you have to make it real for yourself. And it's like if I were in the situation, if somebody chose somebody else over me and put them a priority, then I'm not a priority, and therefore this relationship has no value.
Right.
If we're especially, I mean, this important relationship that's your partner, supposed to be
Yeah.
your partner, you're trusted, you're the love of your, all of it. And because when that trust was broken, Obrecht is a no prisoner, take no prisoners kind of
Right.
person. I
But
am like that too.
she
And,
hasn't had a
we're
lot
very
of.
similar, but I think any normal person would probably do that. And the fans were like, "Oh no, it should be together." And I loved the way the writers wrote it. It was
Right.
funny, and humorous, and all that. But when when they wrote, and that's what happened, that he chose her,
Sure.
and and protected her. It's like then we don't have a relationship.
Right. And
So,
Oberg
and
hasn't had a
that was
lot of
my.
good relationships either. So it's like she doesn't really know what to draw on, I don't think.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Obrecht hasn't had a lot of healthy relationships that we know of. So she
No.
doesn't have a lot to draw on there.
Well, yes and no. She's had some unhealthy ones, if you will. Okay, but she's also special herself,
Yes.
and attracted certain people. I think she was learning, and this was a fun relationship and good. But again, it just couldn't work because
Right.
he didn't choose her. So
Right.
she's
And
learning, and I
it's
think
not
she's
as
learned a
if
lot.
it's not
She's
as
not
if
going to make another mistake.
he did actually choose to take her case. It's not as if there's only, he wasn't assigned to her case or something. I mean,
He didn't have
he
to.
did
That's
have a
right. And
choice. So there are
yeah, and that was
lawyers,
and
we know. Poor Charles.
my very last episode, and of course, I wasn't told anything that, oh,
Right.
you're not coming back for a year,
Oh,
forever, nothing. So it was actually quite painful because I had two final episodes. One was, and I sensed it, without being told, but it's always courteous to tell the actor, like most actors told, you won't be back for a year.
yeah.
We're writing you off, we're killing you off, we're saying goodbye, thank you so much, nothing. And it was really hard because most of the actors I know were told.
Yeah.
And I had one episode, several months later, that I wasn't on the show with Willow, just, checking in, you good? Okay. And I was like, okay. And then again, several months of nothing. And then they brought me back and I had this episode saying goodbye, that it's finally over with Scotty. And then I went, okay, I'm done. And I had to work that day knowing I was done. It's like, this kind of subconscious or conscious knowledge, but no one had the courtesy to tell me. And that was very hurtful.
I think that's
So
pretty standard there from over the years, from what I've heard. Like years ago, I was in touch a little bit with Anna Lee, who played Lila, and she'd been on the show for a very long time. She was really old and in a wheelchair, and they didn't even tell her after all those years and in her bad health. And I was
yeah, it
oh,
happened. I was on
that
the
was a
show
long
for,
time ago. That was
well, I was on the show for 11 years. I did 522 episodes. And, it would have been nice to someone say, you're not going to come back. We're
well,
writing
maybe
you
they
off.
intended to bring you back, and then the
Maybe they
writer's
did.
strike and the actor's strike,
Well,
and then they put it
maybe,
off.
yeah, there was just a lot of things going on, and I'm fine. I've been so busy, but at the time, I was like, I loved being there. I loved the character. I loved
Yeah,
the story, the actors, and most of all, I loved the fans. Out
right.
of everything, on top, just beyond, over and above beyond. I've been an actress for over 40 years, and I've worked on many shows, series regular, recurring, guest star, whatever. But so a lot of people know me from certain shows,
Sure.
but the fans from General Hospital are incredible. It's like we're family, and it's by osmosis. It's like you know,
Well, sure, because they
I
saw you on their TV every day, and
every day, and 5 days a week. And maybe I'm not on all the time, but people stop me all the time, and oh, I love your character, and well, I used to hate you, but I love you, which was always the nicest thing. You hate me, excellent. So it was such a beautiful, and it still is just such a beautiful symbiotic relationship with the fans. I still have this huge fan base, and they're, I don't know, whatever, 80,000 or something, but they follow me, they write to me, they talk to me, I do some events, meet the people. It's still still a beautiful sense of family. And I have made relationships with people over the years that continue. And to me, they're family. And if they lose a spouse or a child or a parent, I take it personally, or a pet. I understand, or they're sick. I understand. We've been there. We've gone through things, and we're getting older together. And this is it's a family. It's a generational show.
it
So
is.
for me, again, it was all about the fan above and over everything. Overall, it was the fans that made this work so important to me and my role, and made me want to give my best each time, which I always do. I want to. My mother always said, "You give 1,000%." Of course, she said it with a thick Hungarian accent. You, Kati, you give 100% all the time. So okay, or 1,000%, 1,000. So so that's how I was brought up. I'm sure I've said this a million times. My husband always laughs when I say, but it's like I grew up in a performing arts family. My
Yeah.
father was a symphony conductor. My mother was an opera singer. I grew up in the arts. My sister's an artist. I mean, it's like that was just how I was brought up. And we had these incredible soloists at our home. My father would invite these soloists from all around the world, including Jack Benny and Rostropovich, and Zabaleta and Oistrakh. I mean, these incredible people probably don't know the names, but incredible and brilliantly talented performers. And we learned, and my parents always said, watch this, the more talented the person, the more hardworking they are, the more humble they are, the less talented, the lazier they are, the bigger the ego. It's kind of held true for me over my
Yeah.
career, working with other actors and stuff. But anyway, so I just, my point being, and it's a long story,
Okay.
I want and I always do, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, is to give, 1,000%. And especially with such a great rapport with the fans, it's like, here's 5,000%, if I can, time allowing. Sometimes you've given a lot of scripts, you're like, okay, I can only give, 75% on this one, but I'll do my best anyway.
So, did your mother teach you how to sing? 'Cause you sing very well too.
Thank you. My mother did not teach me how to sing, but she encouraged me
Mhm.
I to study, and I studied opera, classical music, and piano, some piano, and then I went into musical theater, did a lot of musical theater, studied in acting school in New York, musical theater. Then it's on the side studying opera because it's a classical training, whether it's for dance or for acting. I studied classical. I'm classically trained in New York. I studied Shakespeare. I mean, everything just to be the best. So yes, I studied singing, dance,
That's,
acting,
you still keep up with it
Shakespeare,
all, or
everything.
you could go out and sing right now with only a little bit of warming up, or you'd have
You
to
know,
work on it.
no, I'd have to work on it. And people are like, oh, come on, let's go do karaoke. I hate karaoke. It's
Oh
like,
no, don't
no,
say that.
I won't do karaoke. I will practice. I will prepare a song. I will warm up. I will, restart, which I will be, actually, I think I'm going to be singing in May at an event.
Oh, no.
But yeah, as Samantha's friends, I've been asked to sing. So I will be practicing for that.
So, if they GH asked you back, would you go back?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
what
Yeah.
about joining another soap? Would you consider joining another soap?
Absolutely. I'm freelance. I was never on contract. So,
Yeah.
really whoever calls gets me. If I'm available. I've been, working in Europe recently. I did a beautiful film there called Desperate Journey, World War II movie, British cast, British film, British director and production. A lot of things are filmed in Europe because in Hungary and other places too. But it's just such a beautiful. They have such beautiful locations and everything.
Yeah.
So I did that film, and I've been busy. I was on an episode of SWAT. That was really
Know
fun as an
that.
Albanian mother who bakes, which is like, oh, that's a stretch.
Yeah,
I had
right.
a cookie business. I had a restaurant in
Ah,
Europe along
cool.
with my acting career. So
Oh,
it's
well,
always
that
fun when
explains the baking then.
yes, the baking from the baker. Well, and I also come from four generations of artists and bakers.
Wow.
My great grandfather, my grandfather, my uncle, my cousin, they all had bakeries
Oh, wow.
and bread bakeries and dessert, cafes and stuff. So that was always in my blood. It was like, it'd be kind of fun to do that. So I did open a bakery and a restaurant when I was living in Hungary back in the 90s.
Oh,
And I
okay.
had
Good.
for 5 years, and it was like, I need to go back. And I came back to LA and continue my career after it was like 10 years in New York, went to Hungary for 2 months to do a movie, stayed for 6 years, had the bakery, the restaurant, big acting career. And then it was like, okay, time to go back to the US and forge on. So, but
Okay.
it was fun. It was
Well,
fun.
you've done a lot of these charity events with soap opera fans, including ones on Zoom, and you have one coming up next weekend, Sunday, February 16th. The poster says "Spread Love on Zoom" with Kathleen Gati. You got that Valentine's theme there, and you're going to be baking, right?
Multiple things where
Yeah.
I'm making a Hungarian dish, one of my favorite Hungarian dishes that my mother taught me. and an Albanian dessert and a Canadian dessert that I grew up in Canada and it was one of my
Right.
favorite desserts. So these are three items we'll be making. Yes, we'll be raising money for charity. It's a Zoom event. I think it's called, it's on my social media all over
Okay.
posters where to go, but I think it's February, the link is February 16, ghzoom.eventbrite.com is
Okay.
the
Well, I'll
address.
make
But
sure to put a link on here.
yeah,
Your
so.
fans that are there that haven't been before, do they usually bake along with you or do they just watch or how does that work?
Well, it's like when you're watching a cooking show on television. Do you cook along or you just watch and have a glass of wine and go,
Okay.
maybe one day I'll make this? I mean, I do send, I prefer just people, it's a very interactive event. I show the things, before and after, I make some of the stuff or all of it. And then we talk. We talk about the world, people, we celebrate people's birthdays and
All right.
something special, an event or something sad that, someone's gone through. We talk, it's very interactive. And this is a chance for me to reconnect with my beautiful fans and talk to them for a while and friends and, people who want to come. And then there's, I think at the end, once we're done with the cooking stuff, there's also a time we just sit and talk, when it's
Okay.
all that done. So I just tell people
Nice.
bring a glass of wine or a cup of hot chocolate, sit down, relax. I'll share these stories. Afterwards, I do send a PDF with pictures, recipes, stories, all of it. So you don't have to sit there and go, what was that? Quarter cup of flour? Or, so it's very, very chill, very relaxed. And,
And
and it's fun.
how do you decide which recipes to use on your Zoom chats?
I spend a lot of time thinking about it. It's
Yeah.
like it's a Valentine's Day theme. So I'm like, with love is one of my favorite Hungarian dishes that for me it's love. And the Canadian one, it's totally love. And the other one it's kind of a fun one, the Albanian dessert. So I don't know, each time I spend a lot of time thinking about it. I spend a lot of time preparing them over and over and over. I'm the kind of person, I'm sure many, many people out there cook from my senses. Needs a little more this. So it isn't accurate. You can't, when you're writing down a recipe, and one day I'm working on a cookbook, but it's been years and depends how busy I am. And I've been very busy, so haven't really had time. But every now and then I do work on it. But when you write down a recipe, it has to be accurate and it has to be the same over. So I'll probably try out the recipe 10 times and keep fine tuning it till I'm happy with it. So there's a lot of work goes into each recipe, make it right. Because I don't know if you've ever done this, but I have found recipes in cookbooks and tried things over the years. And it's like something's missing. Oh, the baking powder, so it's like,
Oh,
rice,
yeah.
they leave something out. I don't know if it's on
Right.
purpose or just mistake. So you
Especially
can't do
online
that.
recipes, there's a lot of that.
I don't know. I basically make up my own stuff, but every now and then, over the years I have done that. So I'm like, no, it's a lesson. You have to be very, very accurate.
That's why I like baking cookies because it's really hard to mess those up. At least I've found,
There
sometimes
isn't
they
a
may be
cookie
a
I've
little
never,
hard or they're a little too soft or they're missing some. It's still
but
good.
they're still good, right? And this one needs a cup of hot chocolate or a cup of coffee with it. It'll be fine.
As
Dip
long as
it,
they
it's
have,
like,
as long as they have sugar and preferably chocolate, I'm good.
I'm with you. I totally agree. It's like,
So yeah, I actually have food allergies. I'm allergic to gluten and
um,
dairy and avocado, and I'm diabetic. So I always take a recipe that's like a normal recipe. I don't do too many actual gluten-free recipes because there's so many things I have to change anyway. So take a real recipe and then change it with different flours and dairy and
yeah,
stuff.
I do that too.
Works pretty well.
Yeah, a lot, there's so many great things you can do. Almond flour and there's all kinds of dairy substitutes. Yeah,
Right.
lots of things
I
you
like
can do.
they
So
have these plant what's it called?
plant-based.
Plant-based butter that's
Yes, yes,
so
yes,
much
yes.
like real butter and
I
it's
use some of
definitely
that too. It's
tastes
made out of
right.
cashews, a lot of that. And
Yeah, yeah.
you know what? And a lot of my recipes are,
Is the one I use.
coconut, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can use coconut oil too. So a lot of my recipes that I'm having the cookbook too are also vegan because
Mhm.
my husband had to go vegan. I want to say
Oh,
10 years ago, his doctor said, cholesterol is really high, your triglycerides are high. I'd like you to try a vegan diet for a while. And especially if you want to get off medication. And he was like, and I'm like, vegan? Okay. So I started figuring out all kinds of vegan meals and we did it for 5 years actually.
wow.
So a lot of the food that I have in the cookbook is, vegan. And that word's scary because every time, I've looked at a vegan recipe here and there, gone to a vegan restaurant. It's like, I can't eat that. You know, it's disgusting.
I know.
I try to make food that's like normal.
Yeah,
It
I'm
looks
very
normal.
grateful for the vegans because if it's vegan, it's dairy free, and there are so many great products out there that I can eat that I couldn't have before, everything became vegan. So
Yeah. So, anyway, so we did that and then his numbers improved
that's
and
good. That is so
so he
good.
was able to get off medication. It was great. But then after a while, we're like, start kind of, maybe go out and have bacon and eggs for breakfast or so. So we try to do mostly vegan
Yeah,
five, six
right.
days a week. And then there's a couple meals during the week. We're like, let's go have bacon and eggs, so.
Yeah, that works. So, do you have any other acting projects coming out that you can tell us about?
I cannot tell you about, but I do have a couple on the burner. Actually, I've been doing a lot of voice work as well. I just did an audiobook. It's coming out, well, it's probably coming out in a couple weeks, called Rooms for Vanishing. It's beautifulness. 4 narrators on it for a reason. Each section of this it's a unique story, and it's a sort of it's World War II, but it's a lot of what if my child who was taken from me and murdered lived, and that child is, it was hard to read. I just finished that. That was very powerful. I mean, I was emotionally drained for about 2 days after, because you can't do that without putting your heart into it. It's like, and also imagining, when you do a book, you prepare it, you read it a couple of times. It's like preparing a role. It's the same thing, except you don't memorize 400 pages.
Right.
You can read it, but you prepare it the same way. How's the actor? What's the inflection? How do I feel about this? This is humor. Oh, this is very painful. And it was a very interesting balance. Anyway, that was very special to do that. And I just finished that a few days ago. I was at Sony recently working on a project. I'm actually heading back to Sony and Universal. I had a couple of things going on. So
Okay.
I'm going back to do those. I cannot talk about this right now, but I'm very excited. And yeah, it's been a really, really good time. My life has definitely changed since General Hospital, because that was all consuming. You
Sure.
really cannot do anything else.
Yeah.
You're either studying, preparing, filming, recovering. It's just getting ready for the next,
All
so
that
it was
memorization and everything.
a lot of memorization, which, the same thing with the other work I'm doing, but it was very, and I loved it, and I'm grateful for it. And if they called it go back or another show, I will go. And, I'm totally open to the universe, whatever comes my way. And again, there's a couple of things brewing, which possibilities, but I'm also, I think because I'm older, I'm learning to appreciate the calm,
Downtime.
you
Yeah.
know, the downtime. Yeah, because it is a lot of work. When you're working, your motor goes from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. Right.
Every brain, and it's great. I love it. I love challenging myself. I love using my mind, my experience, my training, all the, everything that I bring to the table, and the languages, the accents. And it's funny, I had an audition recently for a role that's kind of similar to who I am. I couldn't get it. I was like, what would I be like? It's so
Funny.
far from me to play it's like when they say, okay, let's take some pictures. And you're like,
Yeah.
it's so awkward. That's how I feel. It's like, you want me to play myself?
Right.
I don't think I know how to. It's so interesting because I'm used to layering with an accent
Used to being
or
somebody else. It's kind of hard to.
an emotional thing,
Yes.
or culturally, or there's some layers that I love that put those things on, and you kind of, even though it's still you. I had a student once. I do some coaching as well, prepare people for auditions or acting, whatever they want. But and she was like, "Well, teach me to be somebody else." And I remember she was very upset when I said, "Well, I can't teach you to be somebody else because you always bring yourself.
Right.
However, I can teach you to layer so you bring interesting qualities. And we all have a million emotions in ourselves and feelings. I mean, normal life, that's just how we are. So you bring those out to the surface for this role. You bring that out. You put this here. You do the physicality. I mean, there's so many things to think of. So, but I mean, she was like, "Well, you can't teach me to be somebody else." I'm like, "Yes, I can. However, you will also be part of the story." She didn't like that. So anyway, that's my theory. Maybe
So
other actors, no, 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 no. You can be totally somebody, and you can be somebody else. But again, you watch an actor like Robert De Niro, and you're like, oh, there's Robert De Niro. I mean, sometimes there are people like Kate Blanchett who totally becomes Bob Dylan or Katharine Hepburn. There are people that just morph into that role so
Right.
beautifully, but you still see them doing that role.
Right.
There's still some parts of you that are
Sure.
there.
Well, there's some
But me
actors that seem
myself,
to always play the same character, and you think that's that person, but not necessarily. They just get pegged into that type of role.
it's
But
true.
so fans love the accents that you've done so many different shows and movies. And as we said, GH. I know you grew up with Hungarian immigrant parents. You spent quite a few years living in there. Is that where you developed your skills at adapting different accents for your roles?
That's so funny because I love doing accents, but I think because I grew up with both my parents, my father spoke, as he always said, I speak 11 languages in Hungarian because he had such a thick, I speak 11 languages. Both my parents had rather thick accents, and I used to make merciless fun of them. I feel bad now, but what my mother would like, what you want? I don't know, mommy, what you want to? I don't speak like that. Yes, mommy, you speak like, so I just made so much fun. But sorry guys, forgive me. However, it really helped me, and I think the musicality of listening to them speak. We had so many foreigners in our home, like I was saying, these soloists would
Yeah.
come and perform from Russia and everywhere. And I studied Russian. I speak several languages. I studied Spanish and French and Russian. And not that you get an accent because you can speak those languages, but I think because I heard all that music, the languages at home and the accents, people speaking English with accents from all over the world, plus studying music, I think just makes my ears, fine tuned to them. And it's just so much fun. And it's fun.
Well, you're definitely good at it. I mean, I was watching some clips of you online, different roles. It's like I can tell that when you're playing a Russian, you're not doing Dr. Obrecht and things like, the accents are definitely different. And when you play your parents, their Hungarian accent is very different. So
It's fun.
it's not
It's
like
something I really enjoy.
I'm glad you're not just taking the Hungarian and then changing it slightly. I mean, you really get into
No,
it.
no, no. And actually Hungarian is very hard to do.
I'm
I,
sure.
I it is
Well,
really hard.
pronouncing is hard. I did when I was in choir, we did a Hungarian song and
Oh,
I
what
don't,
did you sing?
I don't,
Pistrang?
it was
La
a
la
long
la la
time
la
ago.
la la la
Yeah,
la
it
la
was
la.
like 40 years ago, so I don't remember
I know it's kind of hard to remember what I did yesterday. I'm with you.
exactly. I don't know what I had for lunch yesterday, so I don't know. So, is there anything else that you'd like to tell your fans?
I miss you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Um, I hope everybody is well. I hope you join me on Zoom on February 16th for my Spreading Love event. And you'll find the information of where to get tickets on that. Some of the money will go to charity. I'm also doing an event with Samantha's friends. You'll see that on social media as well. That's May, I think, 5th and 6th in Sarasota, in Florida. And I just, send you guys lots and lots of love and happy Valentine's Day from Dr. Obrecht, Kathleen Gati, whoever I am, to all
You
of
happen to
you.
be at the moment.
That's right. And to you, Samantha, too. Thank you for having me
Oh,
and on your show.
well, thank you. And I appreciate your talking to me. Let me just stop the recording here.